Hey, good morning everyone, or good afternoon if you're on the east. Let me straighten this out a little bit. See how that is. Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay. Thanks for joining me. I'm Spokane Steve, and I'm excited to bring you the 1966 Stats Update. We've got 6 weeks in the books now in the 1966 replay. Week 6 wound up on May the 15th. There was just one game on the schedule for May the 16th, and there was a transaction on that date. The Cubs acquired right-handed pitcher Chuck Estrada from the Orioles. A minor deal, to be sure. Estrada, a righty, is an uncarded player. He will make one start for the Cubs this season in June. And it's a horrible card. They must have been desperate to start him. That's all I can say. He pitched well his first 3 years for the Orioles. Well, fairly well. He had good stuff, but very poor control. He had 3 full seasons with Baltimore. 62 to 64 or 63 to 65, I want to say. Anyway, in his only 3 seasons, full seasons in the bigs, he walked over 100 batters each year. And that was at a time when that was not a common occurrence. Damn fine cup of coffee. Some of you will get the reference. Okay, I'm going to set the camera up in the tripod aimed at the laptop, and we'll get this started. And let's see what we have here. Okay. And this thing's not gonna cooperate, is it? What is the deal? There we go, that's more like it. Let's go in a little closer even, like about there. All right, let me get my glasses on here. Hey, good afternoon, Mike. How's it going today? And greetings to Tony, who's entered the chat. Glad to have you guys. I found that pretty much most people seem to catch up on the stats on the replay, but it's nice to have a couple of people live in the chat as well. Okay, let's dig into it. As you can see, the 1966 American League standings, we still find the Orioles in front, a game and a half ahead of the Athletics, 2.5 ahead of the Twins, the Tigers 3 back, Indians 4, Senators just 5 back, and even the Red Sox aren't out of it, just 6 back. So we've got a pretty good race in the American League so far. The Angels, 11 and 18, well, so far they've certainly underachieved compared to their real life record. As have the White Sox, 83 and 79 in real life. They have been dreadful in this replay. I cannot explain that. And the Yankees, who were not good, have underachieved even that. A .440 percentage in real life. They're at .286. Boy, Kansas City is the story, aren't they? 463 team in real life. They're playing 630 ball so far. The Twins were a contender, but they've overachieved. Good stuff. Let's check the National League. We find the Pirates a half a game ahead of the Dodgers. The Phillies and the Astros just 2 back. St. Louis lost a half a game in that massacre yesterday. They're 4.5 back now. The Cubs, who started off 0 for the season and looked destined for last place, are in 6th. And suddenly find themselves overachieving. The Giants, I cannot explain. 22-9 at this point in real life. They're 13-18. Braves could still get it going. They're only 2 games off of their real life pace, in which they wound up winning 85 games. I don't hold out much hope for the Reds or the Mets. Biggest surprise team in the National League has to be the Astros. Pirates, Dodgers, and Phillies all overachieving at the expense of the bottom teams. Kenyon pointed that out, and it's true. Let's go to the first grand totals. These are the team stats. Team batting. Pirates still an extremely impressive 284 team batting average. However, it's the Astros and the Braves who have scored the most runs. 160 and 158 respectively. Let's see how much of that is directly tied to home runs. Well, the Giants lead in home runs with 37, but they're not scoring. Then you have the Braves at 33, the Astros at 30. The Pirates, they're doing it all. Not only do they lead in team batting, they lead in earned run average. 2.33 earned run average. That's just simply incredible. In fact, it seems almost unsustainable, to be honest. Dodgers at 2.80, that's excellent as well. Giants are pitching 3.38. They're just not scoring despite leading the league in home runs. They're the surprise team in the opposite direction in this thing. Astros are pitching. Phillies also above the league mark. 3.69 league average. 255 average. Let's go back to the American League and compare that. 369, 255. You got the American League a full 0.2 runs higher in earned run average, 389. With only 4 teams above the better than average, below average in this case for ERA, right? But better than average. Kansas City leading the league in pitching. The Senators in second. The Twins, the White Sox are better than average. The Tigers and Angels about average. The Orioles even better than the Pirates. 291 as a team. And they also, no, they don't lead in home runs. I take that back. It's the Detroit Tigers with 41 homers leading the way. Orioles in second with 35. Surprisingly, Angels and then the Red Sox and the Indians have 31 home runs. Kansas City only has 8 home runs, making their record even more surprising. They're in another world from the rest of the major leagues home run-wise. Hitting 253 average as a team, just slightly above league average. They're way ahead in stolen bases. We know the Athletics like to run a lot. Very interesting stuff these pages are. Well, let's go to the league leaders. We'll start with the American League. Batting average, Rocky Colavito, who hasn't played in a while, still atop with a .392 average. Jose Tartabull, .363. Al Kalines hitting .357. Kurt Blefary, .340. And Andy Etchebarren, his teammate, .333, as well as Brooks Robinson, .333, and Harmon Killebrew, .333. Frank Robinson is in striking distance at .330. Fred Valentine, Boog Powell, Joe Foy, and Frank Howard round out the leaders. Frank Robinson leads the league in runs scored. Kaline, Blefary, Powell, and then 4 players tied for 5th: Campaneris, Killebrew, White, and Valentine. Tartabull still leading in hits with 41. As always, some of these I won't read them all off. You can pause this and look at it at your leisure. In doubles, it's Frank Robinson and Tony Conigliaro leading with 9 apiece. And then we have no less than 6 players with 8. Blefary, Brooks Robinson, Dick Green, Campy, Bernie Allen, and Bobby Richardson. Jose Tartabull leads the league in triples with 5. Blair with 4, Fregosi and Maris with 3 apiece. The money stats, home runs and RBIs. We find Frank Robinson and Jackie Warner, who has not started a game in a while, lead the league with 10 home runs apiece. A shame about Jackie Warner's injury. If I weren't doing this by the book per se, I'd play Warner just to see how many home runs he could hit. When this is all over, maybe I'll do that in the Windows version. Just set my own lineups and do a quick play. In the Windows version, you can run off an entire league in about 10 minutes. I used to do that a lot when I first got the computer game. I guess the thrill wore off. Boog Powell, Willie Horton, and the surprising Jim King of Washington with 8 home runs. George Scott, Rick Reichart, and Rocky Colavito round out the leaders. Frank Robinson leading in RBIs. So Robinson, among the leaders in batting, leading in home runs and RBIs, he's in excellent position in his attempt to repeat his real-life Triple Crown. Paul Blair, 22, Kurt Blefary, 21, Tony Conigliaro and Jackie Warner with 20 RBIs round out the top 5. Paul Shaw has drawn the most walks. Killebrew and Mantle's still up there. Mantle not having a good year, but one thing he has done is gotten on base. Not a whole lot of intentional walks. Boog Powell with 4. That kind of speaks more to who's hitting behind him in a way. Tony Oliva leads the majors far and away in hit by pitch with 7. One of them ended up with him being ejected from the game. Yeah, I remember that one. That was the first time I rolled the 1 on the hit by pitch. Stolen bases, not surprisingly, 2 Kansas City Athletics topped the list, Campaneris and Tartabull. One hitting streak of significance active, that's Mickey Stanley's 9-game streak. Of course, Stanley does not play every day, so that's going to be tough to keep going. Pinch hitting and appearing as a defensive replacement for the most part. Colavito still tops the league in slugging percentage. Frank Robinson 2nd, Boog Powell 3rd, Al Kaline 4th, Joe Foy, kind of surprisingly, in the 5th spot. Mincher and Blefary both over 600. Al Kaline leads in on-base percentage, a robust .481. Harmon Killebrew, .466. Joe Foy, Kurt Blefary, and Rocky Colavito round out the top 5 in that category. Frank Robinson leading in total bases. His teammate Boog Powell third, and his other teammate Kurt Blefary tied for third. Powell's second, excuse me, did I say third? Blefary and Conigliaro tied for third with 61. Fred Valentine rounds out the top 5 at 59. Kaline Tartable, Brooks Robinson, and Jackie Warner still makes the list, even though he hasn't played in a while. The lefty-righty, not quite as interesting to me. 3 players have committed 7 errors. George Smith, Ron Hansen, and a little surprisingly, Norm Cash. Let's get into the pitching now. Sam McDowell leads the league with 5 wins. And then we have 5 pitchers with 4 wins. Barber, Chance, Lolich, and McLean, teammates. And Mudcat Grant. Tommy John and Mel Stottlemyre are the only 5-game losers so far in the league. In ERA, it's still one of the wonder stories of this replay so far. Becoming a cult hero quickly. Coming to a ballpark near you, it's Fred Talbot, 1.79. Dave Boswell, also pretty surprising, 2.05. Then we have Sam McDowell, John Buzzhart, and El Tiante rounds out the top 5. Barber, Aguirre, McLean, McNally, Hunter, Santiago, Lopez also make the leaders. 3 pitchers have 3 complete games, Barber, Hunter, and Mudcat. So Barber and then 2 pitchers named after the same fish. That's interesting. Jack Aker way in front in saves with 10. Larry Sherry of the Tigers has 7. Stu Miller, Bill Lee, Don McMahon, and Ron Klein round out the leaders with, well, Miller has 4, the others 3. Sherry has not blown a save, 1,000 save percentage. Dean Chance leading in shutouts with 2. Many have pitched 1. We'll hold in on that for a little bit. You can gloss over those names. In strikeouts, Sudden Sam way out in front with 60. Pete Rickert, 44. Earl Wilson, 42. Steve Barber, 41. And Mickey Lolich at 40 round out the top 5. Hits per 9, Talbot, Boswell, Tiant, McDowell, and Barber. We haven't looked at pitchers' batting average ever yet in these things. Really not enough at bats yet for the pitchers for that to have any significance. Strikeout to walk, Fritz Peterson, 4.4 to 1 leads the way. Earl Wilson, Jim Cott, both excellent. Monbouquet and Siebert rounding out the top 5. Let's jump over to the National League. We'll do the same thing here. In batting average, Jimmy Wynn, the toy cannon, 364, narrowly ahead of Pittsburgh catcher Jim Pagliarone at a surprising 363. Rusty Staub, Glenn Beckert, and Joe Torre round out the top 5. Runs scored, it's Jimmy Wynn with 28. Joe Morgan, his teammate, with 26. Felipe Alou, Maury Wills, and Wes Parker tied with Willie Mays round out the top 5. Alou leads in hits, Felipe Alou that is. I should clarify that as there are 3 Alous. Jimmy Wynn's second in hits, and that's with a card loaded with walks. Another thing that's kind of surprising to me. In my Strat-O-Matic experience, the batters with a lot of walks on their card have trouble duplicating their lifetime actual batting averages, their real life averages, not their lifetime. In doubles is the surprising Lou Johnson, way out in front with 15 doubles already. Several players have 9, Felipe Alou, Johnny Callison, Roberto Clemente, Menke Matthews, and Pagliarone round out the leaders with 8 apiece. In triples, it's Felipe Alou with 6. Tim McCarver with 5, and 3 players have 3 triples. In home runs and RBIs, Willie Mays leading the majors with 12 homers, Hank Aaron second with 10. Jimmy Wynn, Willie Stargell, and Jim Ray Hart with 8. White, McCovey, Billy Williams, and Don Clendenin round out the leaders. In RBIs, there's Jimmy Wynn once again, leads the league in RBIs at 32. Bill White second with 30. Then you look over here at walks, Morgan, Wynn. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious that offensively at least, Morgan gets on and Wynn drives him in. That's a big part of the Astros' success. And Staub drives him in. He's got 26. He's 4th. Willie Mays 3rd at 28. Staub and Johnson actually tied for 4th. Lou Johnson, that's 26. Joe Torre, 25. Intentional walks, not surprisingly, it's Jimmy Wynn with 4. Gotten to the point where teams are not letting Jimmy Wynn beat him in a key situation. Aaron and McCovey with 2 apiece. Wynn's also struck out the most at 29. Lou Johnson leading in hit by pitch with 6. Alou, Hunt, Torre, and Hart. Well, we knew we'd see Ron Hunt in there. Tied with Felipe Alou for second with 4. I would expect that to pick up a little bit for Hunt. Maury Wills and Lou Brock lead in stolen bases, 13 apiece. Willie Davis, Joe Morgan, and then Adolfo Phillips and Matty Alou tied for 5th with 4 apiece. Brock and Wills also top it in stolen base percentage. Dick Grote has a current 10-game hitting streak going, signified by the asterisk. Slugging percentage, Willie Mays way out in front at 693. Jimmy Wynn appears again at 627. Jim Pagliarone at 600. Lou Johnson and Willie Stargell round out the top 5. Kind of a surprise for Lou Johnson all the way around, actually. A big part of the Dodgers' success so far. Menke, Hart, Staub, Felipe Alou, Callison, Hundley, and Clendenin round out the slugging leaders. In on-base percentage, it's Wynn and Pagliarone at the top, 447. Ron Santo in third, 439. Joe Torre and Willie Mays also over 400. Willie Mays leads in total bases, 79. Felipe Alou, 75. There's Wynn again, 74. Lou Johnson and Jim Ray Hart round out the top 5. Ken Boyer, Charlie Smith, and Jerry Buchek have committed the most errors so far, 8 apiece. Let's drop down to the pitching leaders. Koufax still ahead with 6. Bunning, Veal, and Gibson with 5 apiece. Sutton, Tommy Sisk, there's another story. Tommy Sisk becoming kind of a folk hero in this thing. And, of course, Juan Marichal is in there as well with 4. Cloninger and Osteen, the only 6-game losers in the big league so far. Ellis and Bobby Bolin have dropped 5. In ERA, there he is. What a season so far for Tommy Sisk. A stingy 1.42. Barry Latman, 173. Don Sutton, 174. Sutton in his last game lost while lowering his earned run average. Larry Jaster at 196 and Koufax at 205 round out the top 5. Also present are Sadecki, Gibson, Ken Holtzman, Larry Dierker, Veal, Ernie Broglio, Wade Blassingame. Blassingame kind of another surprise so far. So as I always say, still we're looking at very small sample size so far, but it makes it fun. I kind of like seeing some of these guys like Sisk and Blasingame up there. Complete games. Not surprising at all to see Koufax and Gibson atop the list. Jim Bunning has 4. Handful of pitchers with 3. In saves, it's Roy Face leading the league with 7. The Vulture Phil Regan with 6. Billy McCool, Claude Raymond, and Frank Lindsay round out the top 5 with 5 apiece. Abernathy has 3 and has not blown one. Chris Short and Juan Marichal have each pitched 2 shutouts, a handful of pitchers with 1. In strikeouts, Koufax way in front at 76. Bob Gibson, Don Sutton, Jim Bunning, and Bob Bolin round out the top 5. Also at 40 or above are Bob Veal and Gaylord Perry. Hits per 9, it's Larry Jaster at a stingy 5.66. Latman, Koufax, Durker, and Gibson round out the top 5. So some familiar names, I got to go down to this. Strikeouts to walks. Yeah, he finally walked his second guy, but still look at it. Milt Pappas, an 11-1 strikeout to walk ratio. And that's just insane. Absolutely off the charts insane. Marichal, Perry, Koufax, and Gibson in the top 5. I'm trying to think of anything else I might want to show you here. What are the second grand totals? So that's the on base and slugging, basically. So OPS, which I don't think is all that accurate, but it's kind of a loose approximation, something you can look at quickly. Not surprising to see the Pirates leading at 767. That's right here, by the way, OPS. Pittsburgh 767. Houston 743, Atlanta 730. Okay, these are the top 3 scoring clubs. Coincidence? I don't know why they would have X chart totals here because we're not using any. And you can see it doesn't compute because no one's made an out, but there haven't been any chances either. Inherited runners scored percentage. That's a good measure of a bullpen. And we see Pittsburgh leading in that category, and surprisingly the Astros in second. And that is not a good bullpen, but it's been good so far. Whoops, okay. And we've got a cat on the field. We don't want pitchers hitting. That's what I want right there. American League OPS, not at all surprising to see Baltimore dominating with an 825. What would be the second best? Detroit 792. And then Cleveland 742. Again, the top scoring team. So it does, it's a close approximation, let's say. Well, it seems to be working here so far, at least on a team basis. More likely to be skewed when looking at it for an individual player, let's say. Let's check the inherited runs scored percentage of the American League teams. 211 is the best. That's by the Senators. They do have a pretty good pen. Pretty good pitching all around. Surprisingly, in second place would be the Angels at 226. That almost makes me wonder just how important that number, that stat is. They've lost a lot of close games. Well, that's about all I've got. This is the next game up on the replay, the only game of May the 16th. Washington at Minnesota. It'll be Phil Ortega for the Senators, Camilo Pascual for the Twins. Not sure when I'm going to play that one. That's going to be kind of I'll play it when I can, so there probably won't be a lot of advanced announcement on that. When I get some time and feel like rolling a game, that'll be the next game. Again, that's because I have family in town visiting. There's Kelly. Hi, Kelly. So that's about it for the Week 6 stats update. Thank you for checking it out. I'll be seeing you on the next game. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.